Okay, everybody, we are recording now, so I'd like to welcome you to Beginners Get in the Game. And one of the things I hear most often from beginners is, am I good enough? When can I get out on the golf course? So in this presentation, we are going to cover 5 things that everybody needs to know before they get to the golf course, even before they take a golf lesson. And you can learn all this from the comfort of your own home or your office. All right, so we are going to get started with beginners get into the game, and I have a little PowerPoint I'm going to share with you, which let me use. Can you all see this PowerPoint? Thumbs up if you guys can see the PowerPoint. I can't hear anybody. Thumbs up. Okay, let me try to get this full screen.
You're sharing your whole screen and your computer background and all that good stuff. There you go.
There we are. Okay. So we are going to cover 5 things in this presentation. We are going to cover the object of the game, how it works. We're going to cover golf lingo. We're going to cover what to wear. We have a special guest to help us with that today. We're going to cover golf etiquette and what to bring to the golf course. Okay, so first of all, how does the game of golf work? Golf is one of the only games where the lowest score actually wins. So you play golf on a golf course, pretty obvious. Here's a beautiful golf course. You're playing groups of 4. Most golf courses will not let you play in groups of 5 or more, so 4 or less. And the object of the game is to get the ball from the tee box area, which you see in the front of this hole, into the hole. And what you do is you count the number of strokes it takes to get in the hole, right? And the lowest score wins. So, quick question for you. The 19th hole refers to and you can answer this in your chat section, a hole that requires a player to hit a shot over water. B, a tiebreaker hole played in a sudden death tournament. C, the clubhouse where people have drinks after the round. And D, an afternoon time period for golfers 19 or under to play. All right, well, if you guess C, the clubhouse where people go to have drinks after the round, that is correct. So the game of golf is played. There are 18 holes in golf. And in the last couple of years, I would say in the last 10 years, courses have started creating rates for 9 holes because it does take a long time to play. Now, on each golf hole, you are assigned what is called a par. And par means this is the number of shots a golf professional is expected to use to get the ball in the hole. So on this scorecard, you'll see someone writing down a 4, 6, 5, 4, 3. That's the score they got. And right above it, 4 would be par on that hole. So someone made par. 5 would be par on the second hole, and 4, and so on. So most golf courses have par 3s. So 3 shots to get in the hole, par 5 shots to get in the hole. There are no par 2s. There are no par 6s. Most people will not have a great scorecard like this. So most people, when they're just starting out to play golf, will not use the scorecard. You do not have to keep score to play, but it is important to know what the other golfers are out there doing. Okay, there are 3 types of golf courses that most people don't know about. There's what's called the regulation or a standard golf course. And this is a golf course that is made up of 18 holes with par 3s, 4s, and 5s. So it's a pretty long course. Then you have courses that are called executive golf courses. Now, executive golf courses are typically shorter and they're made up of par 3s and 4s. Okay, so the higher the par, like a par 5, that's a longer hole, and a par 3 is going to be a shorter hole. So if you're playing 3s and 4s, it's obviously the round is going to take less time to play, which hence the name executive courses, because a lot of business executives could get out and play an 18-hole round in like 3.5 hours. The other kind of course that a lot of beginners start at is called a par 3 course. And these courses are just made up of par 3s. Those typically take about an hour and a half, 90 minutes to play. So if you're short on time, par threes are a great way to start. The normal round, the golf course will tell you how long they expect you to be out there. So for 18 holes, our women on course ladies, if you are keeping score and not cheating, would take about 5.5 hours. But a lot of golf courses set what they call the pace of play time, and they want you to finish in 4 hours or 4 hours and 10 minutes. And they're really condensing the amount of time that you're out there. So it's very important that you are moving along with the golf course. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's jump from how the game works to golf lingo. All right, so there are a lot of words that you're going to use in golf, and it's important to understand what people are saying to you. I had a group of ladies that were coming to a golf lesson, and I told them when you first get to the golf course, you can go out there, buy a bucket of balls, and warm up, go to the range, and start hitting balls. And one of the ladies came up to me and said, Donna, I have a question. Okay, no dumb question at Women on Course, but her question was, how do I get the balls back? I'm like, what do you mean, how do you get the balls back? And she said, well, I went in the pro shop, I bought a dozen balls, and I hit them out on the range, and it's all out there, and there's all these balls. How do I get them back? And what I realized is she actually purchased golf balls. And what I had meant to say is there are special balls at the golf course. They're called range balls or warm-up balls. And you go and you buy a bucket or you buy a little bag. You basically are renting them because these are balls that belong to the golf course, and they're going to pick them up and they're going to bring them back. And you don't use the real golf balls that you're going to use to play a game of golf. So lingo is very, very, very important. So I have a quick question for you. Another one. The starter refers to a mechanism that powers your golf cart. B, the person you meet at the first tee. C, an energy drink made famous by Arnold Palmer. Or D, a golfer playing her very first round. So enter in chat. The answer is the person you meet at the first tee. Now, the starter is a pretty important person. First of all, they make sure that you paid for your round of golf. So what you do is when you get to a golf course, you're going to go into the pro shop. Typically, you'll pay there, and then they radio up to the starter and they say, here comes your next foursome. They've all paid. This prevents people from running from the parking lot right up to the golf course and start playing. So they're going to make sure you paid, and they're going to tell you a couple of important things. And it's very fun when I get out to a real golf course and I introduce a group of new golfers and I say, here's your new group. Please tell them what you talk about. And the guy talks or the woman talks for about 5 minutes. And then I pull the group aside and I said, do you understand what the starter said? And they shake their head. I had no clue what they were even talking about. So to translate, they're going to tell you about the cart path rules for the day. So if there's a lot of rain, sometimes the courses will say it is cart path only, which means your golf cart has to stick to the sidewalk or the path, and they don't want you driving on the golf course. They might also tell you that it's a 90-degree rule out there. So what is that? When you're driving along a golf course, you are going to see little stakes in the ground, and that means you need to stay on the path until you pass the first stake. Then you'll cut onto the golf course in a 90-degree angle. And they basically move this stake every day because they don't want tire tracks wearing onto the golf course. So that's the 90-degree rule. They might ask you if you make a divot, and a divot is when you take a swing and a big chunk of grass comes out. That's a divot. They may ask you to fill your divots. So if you don't know what that means, on the golf cart, there's usually a little canister of sand, and you basically fill that in with the sand, or you take the piece of grass and put it back on the hole that you created. And the last thing they're going to do is tell you about the pin placement. So the pin is another word for the flag or the flag stick. And believe it or not, every day the golf hole changes. And the reason the golf course does this is people that play the golf course every day or every other day, it's a new game. So the pin placement will change, and the golf green, where the hole is located, has a front, a middle, and a back. And sometimes they'll place the pin in the A position. So each hole, you'll see a little map and it'll say A is in the front on hole 1, A is in the back on hole 2, and A is in the middle on hole 3. And why does this matter? Well, the yardage getting onto the green, the yardage of the hole depends on where the hole is located. So that's sort of what the starter is going to talk about. Okay, there's a lot of people out there that have different names. I'm going to demystify some myths that people kind of get confused. When you say someone is a PGA professional, that stands for Professional Golf Association. And this is an association that certifies golf instructors. They can be a male or a female. Okay, so if you hear PGA, it doesn't mean they're men. It means they've been certified by the PGA of America. An LPGA instructor does stand for Ladies Professional Golf Association. And so they do two things. They also certify golf professionals. So sometimes your golf professional will be both an LPGA and a PGA. We talked about the starter. The other important person out there is a marshal. And this is a person who usually drives around the golf course backwards. Okay. And they are looking at the golfers, making sure they're following the rules of the golf course and making sure they're keeping a proper pace of play. And we will talk about pace of play in a minute. Okay, let's talk about the term the short game. And this is important to know. The short game refers to A, a round of golf on a shorter par 3 course. B, another term for a 9-hole round. C, shots taken from 60 yards or closer to the hole. Or D, a golf format that's timed and it takes 2 hours. So the short game is defined as C. It's about the types of shots that you will take when you start to get close to the hole. In the golf swing, and this is very important when you're taking lessons, there are 3 types of golf swings. There is the full swing, which is where the club goes all the way back and all the way through. And you see this picture. She is in the finished position of a full swing. And you start out your game by using a full swing. These swings, these balls go the furthest. Okay. What makes the ball go different lengths is not the swing. It's the same exact full swing, but it's the club you use. Okay. So some clubs are designed to go shorter distances and some go longer. Once you start to get close to the hole, if you take your shortest full swing club, in other words, if I take a club and take a full swing and I'm going to go 70 yards and the hole is only 40 yards away, it's not going to work. So the full swing does not work as you get close to the hole. That's when you're going to enter the short game and you're going to take a short game shot. And you might hear the word chipping, pitching, bump and run. These are all different techniques that are different than a full swing. And the third swing that you're going to take is putting, and everybody knows what that is. That is the only swing where the ball does not leave the ground. So when you're taking lessons, please make sure you cover full swing, short game, and putting, or you're going to be stuck on the golf course. You won't be able to play the game if you don't take all the different shots. Okay, what to wear. This is the third thing we're going to talk about. This is the fun part. And I am going to turn this over to our partners, Swing Control. They are going to talk to you about what to wear. I'm going to stop my screen share. And I'm going to introduce Josh and his designer there. And Josh, why don't you take it away and tell us about what to wear, the dress code, and maybe show us a few fashions.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Donna and Jody, for having us. We're really excited to be here with you.
Yes.
And chat a little bit about fashion and what to wear on the course. So as Donna said, I'm Josh, and this is Nancy, our designer. So she's going to walk through some of the details within our line specifically, and I'll sort of hit the overall points, and we'll go from there, and we'll put a nice little wardrobe together. So basically, we'll start off on the top half of the body. And general rule of thumb with your tops is that if there are no sleeves, you need a collar. Doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional polo collar. It can be a Mandarin collar or something else, which we'll get into in a second. But there are different types that you can wear.
So for instance, for swing control, we've created with a top that actually Donna you're wearing. It's beautiful. Our little scalloped top is sleeveless, so it has a little zipper placket. A scallop is ribbed with an embroidery finish. Another rib top that we have, or actually this is one of our dresses, but you can see a different rib to it, this is a traditional rib collar, and this one has a contrast band along the collar. These are both excellent to wear for just starting fashion. You can also wear, if you're sleeveless, you can also wear what we call a high stand or tab collar. This again, this has a contrast finish for the collar and the zipper placket. You can also wear the same idea, but with a zipper placket and a sleeve. You can see that here. So you can go sleeveless and then add sleeves if you like. The next two, this is what we call like a band collar. It's got an open V-neck and the sleeves are a little bit longer on this piece. So they're about bicep length, a little bit longer. And here we have a similar collar. So it's a little bit open, it's easy to breathe, it's very comfortable to wear, and our sleeves are a little bit longer. These are about, I'd say like mid sleeve. So there is a few collars you can wear just to start and ideas that you can have to put together, you start to put together your outfit for your golf game.
So the next step, we're going to talk about the length of the top. Ideally, your tops will have a little bit of extra length in the back so that when you're swinging or moving and you lift your arms up, you're not showing all of your skin and you've got some extra coverage there. And then we've got some examples here.
So what we do is for all of our tops, we add what we call a golf tail to them. So a golf tail just gives you that extra 1 inch in the back that you can wear. So your front can be tucked in, the back can be loose if you like. And it just gives you that 1 inch more of coverage getting in and out of the cart. When you're swinging, you need that little bit of movement. So not only have we added it into our tops, but we actually have it on our piqué dress as well. So it gives you a little bit of length in the back just to cover all your areas.
And then next up, we're going to talk about the armhole and general fit. Really important to remember that, we will be moving while playing golf. So you want to make sure that everything is really comfortable and you've got room and it's not riding up or pinching or pulling in.
Yeah, they're very comfortable. So our armholes start right about the top of the shoulder. They go around just underneath, so they're not too tight. They give you a lot of room for movement, lots of shoulder movement, armhole room, but they don't show undergarments, and that's very important. It's especially in some of our classic clubs that we're have to make sure that we're covered and that we don't show any other skin than necessary. We have these, so they're very comfortable.
Perfect. And then on to the next part, which is layering. So of course, with the game, as Donna spoke about, you're playing between an hour and a half to 2 hours and 4+ hours, depending on pace of play and how long of a course it is. Really important to remember to factor in layering. Because if you start off in the morning, it's often kind of fresh and a little bit cool. But then as the day progresses and you keep moving a little bit more and more, you start to heat up, the temperature heats up, and where you started clothing-wise isn't where you're going to be comfortable later on in the game. So really important to remember a layering piece. That's something with a longer sleeve that you can put over top of your sleeveless, kind of like what Donna's got on now.
Mm-hmm.
And also a vest. Both are very important and essential to the golf wardrobe.
There you go. So what I'm showing here is a lightweight, one of our lightweight covers. It has the band collar and the zipper placket front. It also has 2 pockets in the front that are zipper closed. You always want to make sure that you have pockets and you can close them so nothing falls out when you're riding in the cart. This is wonderful for those early summer morning when it's a little bit cool and you want to make sure that you have just a slight bit of coverage. It's very soft, it's easy to wear, and it folds up really well and it fits right into your golf bag. With that, or on top of that, if you're feeling a little bit cooler, sometimes in the deserts in the morning it's a little bit cooler, we also have a vest. We suggest these are fantastic because they keep your core body warm, but they don't restrict any movement. So we have a vest, and we also have what we call a hybrid jacket, which is our quilted jacket. So it's quilting on the front and in the back, or excuse me, front and sleeves, and the back is ribbed. So both of these, what we like to do often is pair the two together so you have a contrast colors together, so it's more a fashion piece. But you can wear them again when it gets a bit cooler, especially in the fall when the mornings are a little bit more like
Crisp.
crisp. Thank you. Is what I'm looking for. Crisp, and it's easy, and you can take them off as you go. But these are the 3 pieces we seriously suggest to have in your wardrobe.
So that pretty much covers us up top. So now it's time to move down to the bottoms. And when we're talking about bottoms, of course, one of the biggest questions with skirts is always how short is too short, or how short should I be going? There are 2 parts in play there. One is the rules for the club you're playing at. If it's a more traditional or conservative club, they will have a very strict guideline, which can be found on the club website or talking to your professional at the club itself. The other part of it is comfort. So if there isn't a strict dress code and you want something a little bit longer with a little bit more coverage, that's great. If you want to show, something a little bit sportier or more trim, by all means. The sweet spot with golf skirts right now is sort of somewhere in between 16 and 18 inches. So it's hitting above the knee, but still covering enough that it's longer than a tennis skirt, which tend to be significantly shorter. So if you're sort of in the 16 to 18 inch length, then that's definitely a safe place to be.
Right. So some of the more traditional courses, they want your skirt to be about, say, 5 inches above the knee. So that's about like 18 inches around an average sized person. So what we like to do is here we offer 2 lengths of skirts. We offer a 16-inch and we offer an 18-inch skirt. So here we've got more of our technical fabric. This is our Velocity fabric skirt. Just very simple, but it has the front pockets and back pockets. So those are great to put your scorecards and your golf clubs, golf balls, and extra tees. And here's one that's a little bit, it's using a very similar fabrics. These are air spun fabric. It's flirty, it's very cute, and it's definitely more fashion forward. What I love about our skirts is all of the skirts have what we call these little booty shorts in them. They can either be contrasting or matching. And what these do is they aid in the movement, your movement, and they help feel very comfortable to play. So you can bend over and pick up your balls. You can get in and out of the cart. It makes it much easier. So these are 16 inches. And here, this is one of our 18-inch skirts. You can see this is using our techno fabric. So this is our traditional fabrics that we use. A little bit more brighter and bold print, but what this keeps the shape really well. It's very crisp and clean, but it's a little bit more coverage. And this one also has the little shorts on the inside. And you can see these are the matching for the body. So those are our 2 lengths of skirts. Depending on what you like, we offer, like I said, something a little bit more crisp and clean or something a little bit more technical and sport oriented.
So then moving on to onto pants. Of course, pants are another really popular choice, especially for cooler mornings or if you're looking for full coverage from the sun. Our top selling pant length is a 28-inch, which hits somewhere between an ankle and a full length, depending on how tall you are. So those are really important pieces as well. Shorts are also very popular. again, the big question in the industry right now is what is the magic length? No one knows the answer. It's really on personal preference and where you're comfortable, and crops as well. So these are sort of your options with the pants.
So we actually have three lengths of pants. We have a 28-inch, which is our crop. We have a 26-inch, which is our crop, a 28-inch, which is our ankle, and then a 30-inch, which is a bit longer. Depending on what you feel comfortable with and the length that you are good. Like Josh said, the 28-inch is our best seller. I like 30-inch. I have a little bit longer leg, but if I was playing golf, I'd want something a little bit shorter because if you have a little bit longer and it's dragging on the wet grass, it's really uncomfortable and it doesn't look nice, or you don't feel good wearing it. So one of our pants here is our pull-on pant with a tummy control. We also have little cuffs in the bottom. This is our leaf print pant and our techno fabric, which is our traditional fabric. And then something a little bit more sporty. So we added, this is a longer length. This is with our scuba fabric, and we have a little bit of a detail on the side. So it's more fun. It's a little bit more youthful. And the design is it's really easy to wear. So just a pull-on pant, same tummy control detail with our little logo in the back.
Josh,
Yes.
I have a quick question. Someone was asking which is the warmest pant that you guys have.
So the warmest pants that we've got are either the scuba fabric, which Nancy just showed, and this will be on our site in a couple of months, or our Ponte, which is our heavier double knit. Both really comfortable, really stretchy, but they're just a little bit thicker than our Techno and Airspun, which Nancy also talked about in both the skirt and the pants, are midweight and lighter weight. So those are on the other end of the spectrum as far as weight goes. But for warmth, definitely the scuba or the Ponte.
Great. Well, thank you both. That was fabulous. We didn't get down to shoes, but I just want to let you know if you want to wear a pair of sneakers or tennis shoes, those are fine on the golf course as well. But Swing Control is one of our partners, and if you are a member, we have a year-round 20% off, which you can log in and get the code. And we'll be talking about Swing at the end because we have another special surprise from them. So thank you, Josh.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move along with our last two sections here. Let me share my screen. Here we go. Let's see. All right, so we talked about what to wear. Now we're going to talk about what to bring to the golf course. A lot of people ask me, do I need to bring golf clubs? Obviously, you need golf clubs to play golf or take a lesson. But at Women on Course, all of our golf clinics, golf clubs are provided. You can borrow them. You don't need to bring any golf clubs. It is best to not purchase golf clubs until you have a swing established. When I first started playing golf, my neighbor said, here, you can borrow a set that's been in my garage. And I started using these golf clubs that belonged to her grandmother. I did not realize that her grandmother was 5 foot tall. I am 5'9". So I am hunched over these golf clubs trying to create a golf swing, and no wonder it was really difficult. So you want to make sure that the golf clubs you're using are designed for your swing, your height, your body type. When you go and play golf on a course, so if you sign up for a 9-hole event or an 18-hole event, every golfer must have a set of clubs. Okay, so if you don't own any yet, you can rent them at the golf course, but keep in mind the golf courses are not like a bowling alley where there's hundreds of balls out there waiting for you. Golf clubs may only have 1 or 2 sets for women or beginners. So always call ahead, make sure they have a rental set. And again, some of these golf courses will take lost golf clubs and just put together a hodgepodge bag of clubs, and it's going to be impossible to play. So having the right golf clubs is critical to your enjoyment and success at the game. So quick question. Golf clubs fall into 4 general categories. Which golf club is considered the power club and goes the furthest? Is that A, your putters, B, your wedges, C, your woods, or D, your irons? Okay, and the correct answer is the woods. So in the old days, these clubs were made out of wood. But the driver, you hear about the driver is a wood, and the woods are numbered. So they start at 1 or they have a degree, but they're generally, 3, 4, 5, 6. Irons are your next longer clubs. Okay, the irons are numbered typically for women 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the numbers get very, very confusing. Okay, but they're numbered. Then you get to your wedges, and wedges go shorter distances, and they're usually labeled either S for a sand wedge, or A for an approach wedge, or P for a pitching wedge, or they're labeled by degrees. And we're going to show you something in a minute here. And of course, everyone knows what a putter is. That is a right angle club that you only use on the putting green. So let's talk about, I don't have a picture here. I have the golf club picture that did not get in this PowerPoint. But if you look at this club here, this is an iron. And you can see that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get off the screen share for a minute. Okay, I'm going to show you here. So I don't know if you can all see this. This is actually a wood. And when you put a club down to the ground, there's an angle formed between the face of the club and the ground. This almost looks like a right angle. It's slightly tilted. Okay, the tilt is called the loft of the club. So the more lofted the club is, the more tilted it is. When it hits a ball, it's going to go higher in the air and shorter. The less lofted it is, it's going to go flatter and longer. Okay, so again, flatter and longer, those are going to go the bigger distances. The more lofted, it's going to go higher in the air and shorter. So when you get into those wedges, I don't have any here. When you get into those wedges are very, very lofted. So they pop up and drop down, and they're really fun to hit. Okay, but that's kind of how the clubs work. And the numbers get kind of confusing. Usually the difference in distance is about 10 yards. So what a lot of people will do is they'll go out to the driving range and they'll take a 7-iron and they'll hit it towards a target that's 100 yards away. And they'll take different clubs in their bag and they'll figure out which club goes about 100 yards. Okay, once they find that out, let's say it is your 7-iron, then your 8 is going to be more lofted. It's going to go shorter. So you can figure out that your 8 goes about 90 yards. Your 7's, your 9's going to go about 60 yards. And it stops at 9. And that's when you start to go into your wedges. And they go shorter and shorter until you get into that short game. So that might be a little confusing, but that's kind of how that works. Okay, so in addition to your clubs, and the rule in golf, if you're playing in a tournament, is 14 golf clubs are the most you can put in your bag, no more. But you can go out there and play with 4 clubs. You don't need a full bag of clubs. Most people don't use all their clubs. My suggestion is when you're out there practicing, find the clubs that you can get and hit and get in the air. The ones that are easy to get in the air. And those are the ones you use. Okay, so don't struggle. The more lofted, the easier it is. The less lofted, the harder it is to hit. So when I see people starting with a driver, the longest club in the bag and the less lofted, it's really not a place to start. So golf pros, if they're good, they'll start you with wedges or a 7 or 8 or 9 iron that's lofted. They want you to get the ball in the air. All right, so what else do you need to bring besides clubs? You are going to need golf balls. I've had people show up with 1 golf ball to play around a golf. That's not going to work because once that ball lands in the water, you're out of luck. And then you turn into a borrower. You don't want to be a borrower and you don't want to be a needy golfer. Okay, you want to be self-reliant. So make sure you have everything you need. And again, this is something you can do before you get to a golf course to prevent being a needy golfer. You might want to pack a dozen golf balls. That's typically should get you through a round of golf. Make sure you have things that keep you comfortable. Do you need a visor so you can see? Sunglasses, a hair clip, because if you're looking down and your hair is constantly in your face, you're not going to be able to see the ball. Golf tees. That's what you put the ball on to hit when you start the game. Golf tees are meant to be broken. Okay, they're made out of wood. They're meant to be broken. So you can bring 18 tees. For new golfers, I always suggest breaking the rules of golf. When you're out there, you don't have to follow the rules unless you're in a tournament. But if you're out there, the tee is only used on the tee box when you're hitting that first shot with the driver. Once you leave the tee box, you're not supposed to use the tee ever again. However, for me and for a lot of people, when you're starting out, if you put the tee in the fairway, which is the big grassy area where you're playing the game, you put your ball on the tee and give it just a little tiny lift. That little tiny lift helps you get the ball in the air. So don't struggle out there. If you want to put the tee in the ground and hit the ball, it helps. And of course, to piggyback on the clothing, you want to be super comfortable in your clothing. You don't want to be worried about tight, itchy, pulling, because people are looking at you. They are staring at you when you hit a ball. And you don't want them to be worried about, what do I look like from the back? Is my underwear hanging out? Or my bra strap slipping down? So when you are comfortable in your clothing, you're not thinking about that. When your hair is pulled back and you can see, you're comfortable. So make sure your bag is stocked with bug spray, sunscreen, rain gear, anything like that. The layers are great. Like Josh said, pack them in your bag. Okay, we're going to talk about the last thing, which is the etiquette of golf. So we all know if you're going to a formal dinner, you know what fork to use. You know not to eat with your mouth open. These are a lot of unspoken things that we all grow up knowing. But in golf, there are a lot of unspoken rules. And the worst thing you can do as a golfer and getting out on that golf course is breaking these etiquette rules without even knowing you're doing it. But everybody else around you is going to know. And you're going to look unprepared and you're going to look unprofessional, especially if you're playing golf for business. And people won't want to play with you again. So it's very important to know the etiquette. Now, I have a whole virtual event on etiquette, but we're going to touch on a few of them here. What I like to do is group these etiquette rules into different buckets. And first is respecting other golfers. Everybody, these four ladies, I just took a picture of them. We were out in Mexico. They're playing recreational golf. The two on the right were keeping score. The two on the left were playing their own way. They didn't keep score. That is fine. What you don't want to do is interrupt or disrespect other people. Talking, making noise. When someone is in their swing, when someone is taking a swing, you are expected to be completely quiet. That means no talking on your cell phone, no rattling around in your golf bag and clinking your clubs together, because it's eerily silent when you're hitting a golf ball. You can almost hear a pin drop. That's how it should be. When the turn is over, you can resume talking. So please refrain from speaking and talking when people are hitting their ball. Another one is be on time. Okay, you know this in other parts of your life. People who are late, it's disrespectful. In golf, you are expected to be on that first tee 5 minutes before your tee time. You're expected 5 minutes before, because that starter, remember I told you about the starter? He's got to have his 5 minutes to tell you what's going on. So if you're running out of your car and your tee time's at 3 o'clock, it's 3:02, they are gone. So I like to say at Women on Course, if you are late, we don't wait. Fashionably late is not a good thing in golf. Okay. I made up a couple other little rules. One is what I call the 30-second rule. So don't overuse the time allotted to yourself. When it's your turn, 30 seconds, maybe even 20 seconds is all you have. If you swing and miss, I call that a one and done. Your turn's over. You don't hover over the ball and keep trying and trying and trying. Now, the people you're playing with may know you're new and say, oh, you know what, Donna, just hit it again. No, thank you. It's your turn. Don't take up your time because you get caught in this cycle where the people are telling you to take another turn. You keep missing. When does it all end? It's best to save all that for the driving range. Okay. So the other things about 30 seconds is looking for a lost ball. All right. The rule in golf is you have 3 minutes. But if you take 3 minutes, look for that lost ball, your group is not going to finish that hole in 15 or 16 minutes. You're not going to have enough time. So 30 seconds, if you don't find the ball, that's it. Every 30 seconds, someone should be hitting a ball. This is a big pet peeve of mine. I'll drive around a course. We have 80 women out on the golf course, and I see 4 ladies just walking around. Everybody's walking around. I'm like, when is someone going to hit the ball? So every 30 seconds, someone should be hitting a ball. And what that means is be ready for your turn. Okay? Your turn actually starts before your turn. So in golf, the person furthest from the hole goes next. You don't go in order, like Monopoly game. Whoever's furthest goes next. So if you're not hitting it that far, it's going to be your turn, maybe 3 or 4 times in a row. Okay? So it's your turn. Make sure you have your club in your hand, the one you're going to use. Make sure you have your ball if you're teeing off and your tee. So make sure you have everything you need. One little tip, if you are playing with experienced golfers and it's always your turn and you're not keeping score, a little tip I do is I pick up the ball and I will let everybody else go and I'll drop my ball ahead of everyone else. So it's not always my turn because it's very frustrating to always have it be your turn. Okay. And now I just gave away the answer. The 30-second rule is a guideline invented by, and there's a little typo, by women on course to keep the game moving at a proper pace of play. Okay, so that's the 30-second rule that we made up. Okay, pace of play. This is the number one thing, number one takeaway for any golfer, beginner, avid golfer. You're going to hear this all the time. I know some of the best golfers in the world are very, very slow. So here's what pace of play means. Going back to that golf course that tells you a round of golf, 18 holes, should take you 4 hours and 30 minutes. That's generous. That breaks down to 15 minutes per hole. Now, some holes are shorter, a par 3. Some holes are longer, par 5. But let's just say on average, it's 15 minutes. Or you have 4 people. That means each of you has a little under 4 minutes to play the game. In that 4 minutes, you have to hit the ball, you have to get to your ball, you have to pick your clubs, you have to know what you're doing. So this is actually a fast game. Okay, but pace of play is defined as this. Your group should be 1 shot behind the group ahead of you. So what that means is if we're sitting on the tee box ready to start hole number 1, we should see the group ahead of us putting or about to putt. If the hole is completely empty, you are behind pace of play. Okay, so again, if you don't see that group ahead of you, you are going too slow. It doesn't matter if there's hundreds of people behind you, you are on pace if you're 1 shot behind. Now, we don't want to be dangerous. We don't want to hit our ball into the group. So again, if you can hit a drive 200 yards and the group ahead of you is standing 200 yards ahead, you don't hit yet. You wait for them to get a little ahead. But that is what pace of play means. And there's lots of tricks to keep your pace going. If you're keeping score according to the rules of golf, some people may be hitting 7 or 8 shots on a hole. Remember, you have 4 minutes. So you're just going to have to move really, really fast. If you are shooting 8 or 9 on a hole, maybe you shouldn't be keeping score yet. Maybe you should not be keeping score according to the rules of golf because you're not going to finish in time. Especially if all 4 of you are keeping score and you're all doing 8s. 8 times 4. Okay, that's 32. Did I get that right? That's 32 shots or 24 shots. I can't do math right now, but that's a lot of shots to get done in 15 minutes. Okay, so start your turn before your turn. Be right near your ball where it's safe, because sometimes it's not safe to be near your ball. You want to wait for people behind you to hit. But if you can keep a pace of play, you are golden. All right, what does the term ready golf means? It's a charity golf tournament format, A. B, when a player goes out of turn in order to speed up the game. C, a term to describe a beginner who has mastered the skills to play around a golf. Or D, the tee box where more experienced players hit their drives. Ready golf. B, when you go out of turn to speed up play. So let's say I'm the furthest from the hole, but Jody there is a little closer to the hole. She's over to the left. I'm way back on the right. Jody's next to her ball. She goes, you know what? I'm in a good spot. I'm not in the way. I'm ready. Donna's not. I'm going to hit my ball. She's going out of turn to just keep things moving. Okay, the other set of etiquette rules are respecting the golf course. These golf courses spend a ton of money to keep that grass pristine looking. Okay, so they want to make sure you're driving your cart in the right spot. Make sure you're not driving across the fairways that they're maintaining. Rule of thumb, never drive your cart on the tee box area. That's a universal rule. You're not going to see a sign posted. Never, ever, ever drive on the green where the hole is. Now, my course where I play has a little sign about 30 yards from the green. It's a little sign that says carts, and it points to the cart path, which means once you get 30 yards to the green, get off the course. Okay, I was playing in another course where they didn't have the sign. I said, oh, they don't have the sign. It's hot out. I'm going to drive right up to the green. Well, that's a no-no. So an unspoken rule is you do not drive within 30 yards of the green. Everybody's supposed to know that. That's it. Okay, so that I really can't go more into the etiquette because we have so much to cover. But are there any questions? I know that was a lot, very fast. I have recorded this. I'm going to stop the recording.